What call to 911 did a family member try to prevent? My stepfather ripped the phone out of my hand while my little sister was seizing on the kitchen floor. Her body convulsed violently, head slamming against the tile with sounds that made my stomach turn. Foam bubbled from her mouth. Her eyes rolled back, showing only whites. I dialed 3 numbers when Derek grabbed my wrist so hard I heard something crack. He threw my phone across the room where it shattered against the refrigerator. His face was inches from mine, breath hot and rank, telling me if I called anyone, he'd make sure I regretted it for the rest of my life. My sister Mia was 9 years old and dying on the floor while my stepfather threatened me into silence. I was 15 and completely alone. Derek had been part of our lives for 3 years, married to my mom for 18 months. He'd seemed normal at first, charming even. He worked in pharmaceutical sales, made good money, drove a nice car. My mom had been single since my dad left when I was 8, struggling to raise Mia and me on a teacher's salary. Derek represented stability and security. We'd moved into his house 6 months after the wedding, a big place in the suburbs with a pool and a 3-car garage. My mom was happy for the first time in years. I should have been grateful. Instead, I was watching my sister die while the man who was supposed to protect us prioritized something else entirely. Mia had been sick all week, fever, vomiting, terrible headaches that made her cry. My mom wanted to take her to the doctor, but Derek kept saying it was just a flu bug. The doctors were expensive and unnecessary for something that would pass on its own. My mom deferred to him like she always did now. She'd become someone different since marrying Derek, quieter, more compliant. She stopped making decisions without checking with him first. When Mia got worse instead of better, my mom mentioned the emergency room. Derek said absolutely not. He had connections in pharmaceuticals. He knew medicine. Mia just needed rest and fluids. She'd be fine by the weekend. Thursday morning, Mia collapsed getting ready for school. I heard the thud from my bedroom and found her unconscious in the hallway. My mom was already at work, gone since 6:30 for early meetings. Derek was in his home office on a conference call. I shook Mia until she woke up, confused and disoriented. She couldn't remember falling. Derek emerged from his office annoyed at the disruption. He told me to get Mia some orange juice and put her back to bed. When I said we needed to call 911, he laughed. He said I was being dramatic, that Mia was dehydrated and low on electrolytes, that emergency rooms were full of actual emergencies and we'd waste everyone's time. I helped Mia back to her room and watched her fall asleep. Her forehead was burning. Friday afternoon was when the seizure happened. I'd stayed home from school to watch Mia since Derek had client meetings all day. My mom had texted asking how Mia was doing. I'd lied and said she was improving because I knew Derek would see the messages. He monitored my mom's phone religiously. He'd installed some app that showed him all her texts and calls in real time. She thought it was because he cared about staying connected. I knew it was control. Around 3, Mia wandered downstairs asking for water. She made it to the kitchen sink before her eyes went unfocused. I asked if she was okay. She turned toward me and collapsed, her body immediately rigid before the convulsions started. I grabbed my phone from the counter and dialed 911 without thinking. The operator answered as Derek's car pulled into the garage. I heard the automatic door rising, heard his footsteps in the mudroom, and then he was there, grabbing my wrist and tearing the phone away. The operator's voice was asking what my emergency was when Derek hung up. He crushed my phone under his shoe, grinding it into pieces. I tried to push past him to get to the landline in the living room, but he grabbed me by the shirt and slammed me against the wall. His face was different than I'd ever seen it, cold and calculating. He told me very clearly that if I tried to call anyone, if I told anyone what was happening, he'd make sure both Mia and I disappeared, that he had ways of handling problems that nobody would ever trace back to him. I looked at Mia, still seizing on the floor. The convulsions were slowing, but she wasn't waking up. I asked Derek what was wrong with her, why he wouldn't let me get help. He told me she'd be fine, that seizures looked scary but usually resolved on their own, that taking her to the hospital would create problems he couldn't explain. That phrase stuck with me. Problems he couldn't explain. What did that mean? I asked what he'd done to her. Derek's expression went completely blank. He said I should go to my room and stay there until he came to get me, that Mia was his responsibility now, that if I came downstairs before he gave permission, I'd regret it. Then he picked up Mia's limp body and carried her down the hallway toward his office, where he kept his pharmaceutical samples locked in a cabinet. Something was catastrophically wrong, and I had no way to contact anyone. My phone was destroyed. The landline was downstairs where Derek would hear me use it. My mom wouldn't be home for 3 more hours. I needed to get help, but Derek's threat felt real. He'd said it with such certainty, such calm assurance, that I believed he could do exactly what he promised. I went to my room like he'd ordered, but I didn't stay there. My window overlooked the backyard and the neighbor's fence. The Johnsons lived next door, a retired couple who were always home. But then, full story.